Oklahoma City bombing, 1995. One truck, 4,800 pounds of fertilizer, 168 people dead. The Oklahoma City bombing makes absolutely no sense until you understand what drove Timothy McVeigh, a decorated Gulf War veteran, Eagle Scout, security guard. He parked a Ryder truck outside the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building on April 19, 1995, at exactly 9:02 a.m. 19 children in the daycare center on the second floor never stood a chance. McVeigh claimed he didn't know about the daycare. His accomplice Terry Nichols said that's a lie. They knew and didn't care. The bomb tore through the building's north face like tissue paper, pancaking 9 floors. Bodies everywhere. Then here's what nobody tells you. McVeigh got caught by accident. 90 minutes after the bombing, a state trooper pulled him over for a missing license plate, found a concealed weapon, arrested him for that. By the time the FBI realized their prime suspect was already in jail, McVeigh had been in custody for 2 days. He was executed by lethal injection on June 11, 2001. Until September 11th, this stood as the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in American history. September 11th attacks, 2001. 4 planes, 19 hijackers, 2,977 dead in a single morning. This wasn't domestic in origin, but it happened on American soil and changed everything. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 slammed into the North Tower. 17 minutes later, United Airlines Flight 175 hit the South Tower. The world watched live. Then Flight 77 hit the Pentagon at 9:37 a.m., 125 dead instantly. Flight 93 never reached its target. Passengers fought back, and the plane crashed in a Pennsylvania field at 10:02 a.m., 44 people dead. But here's what gets overlooked. The death toll didn't stop on September 11th. Over 4,000 first responders have since died from toxic exposure at Ground Zero. Cancer, respiratory disease. The number keeps climbing. Experts predict post-9/11 deaths will eventually surpass the original toll. The attacks weren't just about buildings. They weaponized physics. Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams, but it weakens them enough. The towers collapsed within 2 hours, and America launched a 20-year war that would kill hundreds of thousands more. Bath School disaster, 1927. May 18, 1927. A school board treasurer wired 500 pounds of dynamite under an elementary school. 45 dead. 38 of them children aged 7 to 14. This remains the deadliest school massacre in American history. Worse than Columbine, worse than Sandy Hook, worse than any shooting you've heard of. Andrew Kehoe spent months placing explosives under Bath Consolidated School. He was angry about property taxes, lost an election for township clerk. His farm was facing foreclosure. So he murdered his wife, destroyed his farm, and at 9:45 a.m., detonated the north wing of the school with an alarm clock timer. Children buried under collapsed roof beams and plaster. Parents pulling bodies from rubble for hours. Then Kehoe drove to the rescue scene in a truck packed with more dynamite and shrapnel, shot his rifle into the back seat, killed himself and 4 others, including the superintendent. Wait, it gets worse. Police found another 500 pounds of unexploded dynamite in the south wing. If that had detonated, every child in the school would have died. Kehoe left a sign wired to his fence. Criminals are made, not born. Wall Street bombing, 1920. September 16th, 1920. Lunchtime on Wall Street. A horse-drawn wagon parked across from J.P. Morgan's headquarters. Nobody thought anything of it. At 12:01 p.m., 100 pounds of dynamite detonated with 500 pounds of cast-iron sash weights as shrapnel. 38 dead immediately. 8 more died from wounds. 300 seriously injured. The driver disappeared into the lunch crowd minutes before. Authorities found anarchist flyers in a nearby mailbox. Remember, we will not tolerate any longer. Free the political prisoners, or it will be sure death for all of you. But here's the problem. They cleaned the crime scene that same night. Wall Street demanded business as usual. The stock exchange opened the next morning. Investigators destroyed evidence in their rush to show normalcy. The Bureau of Investigation, the NYPD, and Secret Service worked the case for 3 years, questioned hundreds of witnesses, visited every sash weight manufacturer in America, checked 500 stables along the Atlantic coast, found nothing conclusive. They suspected Italian anarchist Mario Buda, associate of Sacco and Vanzetti. He fled the country. The case was never solved. The bombing remained America's deadliest terror attack until Oklahoma City, 75 years later. Charleston church shooting, 2015. June 17, 2015. A Wednesday night Bible study at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Dylan Roof, 21 years old, sat with the congregation for an hour. Prayed with them. Then pulled a Glock 41 and opened fire. 9 dead. All black. All there to worship. Roof told survivors he almost didn't go through with it because everyone was so nice to him. But he did anyway. His motivation was explicit: white supremacy. He wanted to start a race war. Posted a manifesto online with photos of himself holding Confederate flags. During his confession, Roof said he had to do it because someone had to do something about black people taking over the world. The attack targeted one of the oldest black churches in the South, a place with deep roots in the civil rights movement. Roof was convicted on 33 federal hate crime charges and sentenced to death. He showed no remorse. Said he felt like he had to do it. This wasn't random violence. It was calculated terrorism designed to terrorize an entire community. And it worked. Pulse nightclub shooting, 2016. June 12, 2016. Latin night at Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. Omar Mateen walked in at 2:02 a.m. with a Sig Sauer MCX semi-automatic rifle and a Glock 17. 49 people dead, 53 wounded, deadliest mass shooting by a single shooter in American history at the time. Mateen called 911 during the massacre and pledged allegiance to ISIS, claimed he was retaliating for American airstrikes in Iraq and Syria. But the target wasn't random. Pulse was an LGBTQ nightclub. This was a hate crime and an act of terrorism simultaneously. The siege lasted 3 hours. Police breached the wall with an armored vehicle, shot and killed Mateen. Here's what makes it worse. Mateen had been investigated by the FBI twice before. In 2013 for inflammatory comments, in 2014 for connections to a suicide bomber. Both times cleared. He legally purchased both firearms despite being on a terrorism watch list at one point. The attack exposed gaps in how America handles known threats and raised questions nobody wanted to answer about who gets flagged and who gets guns. Las Vegas shooting, 2017. October 1st, 2017. Route 91, Harvest Music Festival in Las Vegas. Stephen Paddock, 64 years old, checked into the Mandalay Bay Hotel and carried 23 firearms to his suite on the 32nd floor. At 10:05 p.m., he smashed windows and opened fire on 22,000 concert-goers below. 60 people dead. Over 850 injured in the chaos and stampede. Paddock fired more than 1,000 rounds in 10 minutes, used bump stocks to simulate automatic fire. When police breached his room, he was already dead. Suicide. And here's the mystery. Investigators found no motive, no manifesto, no ideology, no clear grievance. Paddock was a millionaire real estate investor and high-stakes gambler. No criminal record, no history of violence, no radicalization. The FBI spent months investigating and concluded they couldn't determine why he did it. 23 guns in the room. thousands of rounds of ammunition, explosives in his car. He planned meticulously but left no explanation. This remains the deadliest mass shooting in modern American history, and nobody knows why it happened.